Still over 12 weeks out. This will be the first upper body workout of the week. I did legs yesterday, so this is 2 days in a row. And I don't have a schedule that's set in stone for me. I may go 2 days in a row and take a day off. I could go 3, I could go 4, I could go 5 days in a row. Some weeks I'll work out 3 to 4 days a week, and some weeks I go all the way up to 6. So it just depends how I'm recovering, how deep into the cut I am. There's many factors that I consider, and it's not all laid out months in advance or even weeks in advance. I kind of play it by ear as I go. I'm experienced enough. I've been doing this for over 40 years that I can do that with myself. So let's get right into it. So as usual, the first exercise of the day, there's going to be a lot more warming up going along with it. The upper body exercises a little bit less than the lower body. It takes me a fair bit of time to warm up for the bigger lower body exercises, mostly because of my knee. But I still am going to do more warm-up sets for the upper body exercises. So I start with a vertical pulling exercise. I just decided to do weighted pull-ups today. So every set, I add a little bit of resistance to it, depending on how it's feeling. I typically will, on this exercise, I'll typically cap my warm-up reps at 6 or 8, and then I add some weight. And then if I can do 6 or 8 again, I'll add some weight. So not every time I do this am I working up to the exact same weight. It's dependent on that day, and I get 4 maybe warm-up sets in, and then I get what I would consider probably 2 actual work sets, and maybe only 1. As you see the last set here, this is what I actually consider a work set for me, and that's where I get to the point where I can't do another rep on my own, but my form also doesn't completely collapse. And that'll be it right there. So then I switch over. So on the next, which is going to be my horizontal pull, choosing the chest supported row on this day, I don't need nearly as much warm up, but I still am going to do progressively heavier sets. The first set I do, I would consider a warm up. It's not that hard, just because I've changed the movement plane. My second set, I would consider it a moderate work set, but not really a work set. And then my last set is what I actually would consider a set. So people can look at the workout and say, well, yeah, you're doing anywhere from 5, 6 sets per exercise. And yeah, on paper that may look like that, but in reality, I consider that I typically am doing 1 or 2 sets per exercise, because I don't count warm-up sets as work. So now I switch over to pullover variation. I like to do it on the cable on my back like this. It makes the exercise very strict. So, and with this, if I pick the weight correctly on the first set, I only will do 1 work set of these. I don't feel it's necessary to do more. And this is the first exercise of the day where the reps are going to climb a bit higher. There's no point in doing these with low reps, I don't feel. So I'm going to be anywhere from 12 to 20 reps on these, depending on the day and how I'm feeling. And then I switch over to the rear delts. I don't do these. I do these with my back instead of doing them with my shoulders. That's just a preference. You can do whichever you want if you choose to do it, but I consider them more of a pulling movement, and I consider the shoulders more of a pressing movement, obviously. So I don't think there's any hard fast rule about that. And these, the same thing. If I nail my weight perfectly and I feel like it's a great set, I may only do 1 set of these as a work set. But on this one, I felt like the first set was a little bit light, so I capped it. If I get to 15 reps and I feel like I'm not actually doing a work set yet, I don't continue on and just burn myself out on that weight and get 20 or 25 reps. I'll stop. I'll call it a warm-up set. I'll add a little bit of weight, and then I go for a work set after that. Maybe I messed that set up too, and I consider it another warm-up set. whatever it takes, as long as I get my at least one what I consider a very good work set in, I'm happy. I don't really care. I don't want to take a lot of sets to get there, but whatever it takes. And then finally, I'm down to my biceps using the hammer strength preacher curl. This is one of my favorite bicep exercises. And I start this same thing. I think I cap my reps at 12 here or something like that, but I consider that a warm-up set. And then moving on to the added a little bit of weight for my second set. And it was a moderate work set. Once again, I considered it to be moderately hard, but not a full-on work set. Then I rested and added a little bit more weight and did one more set where I actually got to where I couldn't complete another rep. And that's how I basically judge something as a work set. It's got to be good form. I have to be in control of the weight the whole time, but I'm going to stretch that out until I can't move the weight anymore. I don't need someone there to give me force reps. I don't need to do negatives. I don't need to do partials. I get there, I squeeze, I can't complete another rep, and that's it. So you can see that the workout itself, like there's only about 5 or 6 minutes of total work being done. Now obviously there's rest in between and stuff. So that workout is taking me somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes typically. The warm-up sets between the bigger, or the rest periods between the bigger exercises a little bit longer, and then in between the smaller, the rear delts and the biceps, it's not nearly as long, but it's not taking me a tremendous amount of time to get through those workouts. And that's why I may do more workouts per week than some people. Some people may only do 3 workouts a week, but they're in there for an hour, hour and a half. And I just find I can get a lot more getting in, doing a smaller amount, hard sets, so I'm getting a lot out of each set, but I'm not worried about getting a ton of sets at one time. I'd rather come back in 2 days and hit it again.